The first thing that broke him wasn't the silence of the apartment or the unanswered prayers, but the way Sunday mornings felt heavier than the rest of the week, as if the air itself knew he was alone. Matthew sat at a small table in a quiet hospital cafeteria in Ohio, fingers wrapped around a lukewarm coffee he didn't even want, watching families pass by with purpose and belonging written all over them. He had been waiting for love for so long that it had started to feel like waiting for rain in a drought-stricken field, believing it would come, even when the sky stayed cruelly blue. And somewhere deep inside, a question stirred that many never dare to ask out loud. What if this were you, watching life move forward while you stood still, wondering whether your patience was faith or fear? Matthew had done everything the way he thought a good man should. He worked steady hours as a maintenance supervisor at a regional medical center, attended church every Sunday, volunteered when he could, and prayed with a quiet, almost embarrassed sincerity every night. He prayed not for wealth or success, but for someone to share the weight of life with, someone who would see him fully and still choose him. Years passed, then more years, and the prayers began to feel like letters returned unopened. Friends married, had children, built lives layered with noise and meaning, while Matthew learned the art of smiling through congratulations and driving home alone afterward. If you were in his place, would you keep believing, or would you quietly accept that some blessings were meant for other people? On an ordinary Tuesday afternoon, when nothing in the world seemed poised to change, Matthew noticed a woman standing near the hospital entrance, struggling to balance a restless little boy on her hip while fumbling with paperwork. Her name was Rachel, though he wouldn't know that until much later, and there was a tired resilience about her that made her seem older than she was. She wore exhaustion the way some people wore perfume, subtle but impossible to ignore. The child clung to her like a lifeline, small arms wrapped tightly around her neck, as if letting go might cause everything to fall apart. Matthew felt something shift in his chest, not romance, not yet, but recognition, as if he were seeing pain he understood without ever having lived it himself. Rachel had not come to the hospital for comfort or hope. She had come because her life had narrowed into a tunnel of survival, one bill, one night, one fragile moment at a time. After her husband's sudden death in a construction accident in Kentucky, she had packed what little she had and driven north, chasing the promise of family support that dissolved into distance and excuses. Now she was alone with her son, Caleb, navigating a system that felt cold and indifferent to grief. Every step she took felt borrowed, every smile forced, every prayer whispered through clenched teeth. She believed in God, but lately, belief felt like holding onto a rope that was slowly burning through her hands. Matthew began seeing them often after that day, always in passing, always just on the edge of interaction. He noticed how Rachel's shoulders never fully relaxed, how her eyes scanned every room as if danger might be hiding behind a vending machine. He noticed how Caleb's small fingers twisted into her sweater, how the boy watched the world with a quiet seriousness no child should have to carry. Something in Matthew responded not with desire, but with compassion that scared him because it demanded action. He had spent years asking God to fill his loneliness, but now he felt an unfamiliar pull, as if love was no longer something he was waiting for, but something he was being asked to give. Their lives began to overlap in small, almost accidental ways. Matthew offered help when he could, nothing grand, nothing that would draw attention, just presence, just consistency. He listened more than he spoke, learning the shape of Rachel's grief without trying to fix it. He learned that love doesn't always arrive like a sunrise, sometimes it comes like a quiet lamp left on in a dark room, waiting for someone who needs light more than warmth. If you were standing where he stood, would you step forward knowing there was no guarantee of being loved in return, only the certainty of being needed? Rachel didn't trust easily. Loss had taught her that anything beautiful could vanish without warning. But there was something steady about Matthew, something that didn't demand or rush or expect. Over time, his presence became a place where her guard could rest, just a little. Caleb warmed to him in ways that surprised her, laughter returning to the boy in small, fragile bursts. Watching that, Rachel felt a strange mix of gratitude and fear, because hope had once destroyed her, and she wasn't sure she could survive it again. Matthew, meanwhile, wrestled with emotions he hadn't planned for. Loving Rachel and Caleb didn't erase his loneliness, it transformed it. He realized that he might never be the center of someone's world, and that terrified him, because part of him still wanted to be chosen first, wanted to be someone's answered prayer. But another part of him, quieter and deeper, understood that perhaps this was the answer, just not the one he had imagined. God hadn't sent him a woman to complete him, he had sent him a woman and a child who needed love more than romance, stability more than passion. the change was gradual, almost invisible. Rachel began to breathe easier. Caleb began to sleep through the night. Matthew began to feel whole in a way that didn't depend on being adored. Love grew not from grand gestures, but from shared grocery trips, from hospital hallways, from silent prayers spoken in separate rooms but aimed at the same heaven. There were setbacks, moments when grief surged back, moments when Matthew wondered if he was sacrificing his own dreams for someone else's survival. But each time doubt crept in, it was met with a quiet certainty that this, somehow, was holy. Years later, nothing about their life looked like the fairy tales Matthew once imagined. It was messier, heavier, quieter. But it was real. And in that reality, he discovered something that changed him forever. Love is not always about being found, sometimes it's about becoming the shelter someone else was praying for. Regret softened into gratitude. Loneliness transformed into purpose. And waiting gave way to giving, which, in the end, felt like grace. Before this story ends, take a moment and ask yourself something deeply personal. Have you ever been so focused on what you were waiting for that you almost missed what you were meant to give? If this story stirred something inside you, share your thoughts in the comments below, because your words might be the light someone else is searching for. And if this story truly touched your heart, gently reminding you of kindness, sacrifice, and second chances, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, so more hearts can find stories like this when they need them most.